Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour. It is always my pleasure to come to your home, to come where you are. And today we're staying in Australia. We're going to New South Wales, Australia, and we're going to have, I think a very inspiring conversation with my guest. My guest today is Renny Chivunga, and we're going to spend some time just enjoying and sharing. She's going to share with us how she managed to drive her career. She is a pilot, she is an engineer, she is also a an engineer, and also does something that not a lot of women are doing. And she will have the opportunity to introduce herself and let us know exactly what she does. I can give you just a snip of bio. Like I said, she's an engineer, she's a pilot, she's a model, she's a seller, she's a board member, and she is just amazing. So she'll have the opportunity to introduce herself and let us know a bit more about her. So I just want to let you know you can participate if you're watching live. You can ask questions. You can give your insight, because this show is for you. I bring all those all those inspiring guests for you to be able to learn from them, to be inspired, and the objective is for you to go to the next level of your greatness. So come in, let us know where you're watching from. Have your pen and paper, because a lot will be shared today. I can tell you. So I'm gonna start, and I'm not gonna introduce myself. I think you know me by now. I'm Mireille, the greatness engineer, and I'm also an engineer. I'm a petroleum engineer. So I'm very fascinated, by Renny, because I also had my own journey in a male-dominated environment, and I also want to, learn from her and see how she navigated. So get ready, and I will bring Renny now on the show. Another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Mireille Telekima Global Leadership Organization.
Real is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily actions.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others, and you are not alone.
So welcome, welcome, Renny, to the Greatness Engineering Hour show. It is my pleasure to have you. I'm very excited, as you know, I was mentioning before. And before I get too excited, just want you to to introduce yourself, add to what I've shared at the beginning. I know that there's more, and just to let us know who you are, and anything that you feel like you should know about you.
Yeah, thanks, Morelli. It's really lovely to be part of the Greatness Engineering Hour. I'm so grateful. So yeah, I'm Zimbabwean. I was raised the second of five children. Sorry, I was raised the oldest of five children. Sorry, and
Mm-hmm,
yeah, whilst I was in Zimbabwe, I guess you can imagine
mm-hmm,
being from an African family and being seen as the oldest, how challenging that can be because you've got the responsibilities of doing everything that your parents need you to do, whether it's cleaning house, looking after your brothers and sisters, doing homework for them, and all these sort of things because they were out, building our businesses at the time. But yeah, resented it to some extent, but in the end realized, being the oldest in
mm-hmm,
my family has taught me some really valuable lessons and skills that I would never give back, and I'm so grateful to my family for allowing that to occur. Actually, so yeah, raised the oldest of five, was privileged enough to end up being private school educated. I think from the age of 9, which was really great, and it was a
mm-hmm,
wonderful school. And my sister and I and a very small handful of others were, you know, the only dark people in a school of 500. So that had its challenges as well.
mm-hmm.
Uh, in starting out and just learning how to navigate that space and be confident as a young person was an incredible challenge to work through. From private school, junior school, and high school, finished my A levels. Then I did my pilot's training.
Mm,
And yeah, and whilst I was there, I guess one of the things that I guess at high school, even at primary and at high school, what kept getting confirmed is my love and I
mm-hmm,
guess my ability to absorb, chemistry, physics, and maths. And I thought
mm-hmm,
whatever I do, it kind of gave me a clue that in the future, whatever I do, if I use these subjects, it'll be great. It wasn't that I didn't love to lead and I didn't
mm-hmm,
feel like there's an opportunity to lead in the future. But I thought, I can always lead as long as I use the things that give me a
mm-hmm,
clue to what I like and I'm passionate about already. So
mm-hmm,
yeah, doing my pilot's license confirmed as much as I would have liked to have stayed and gone commercial. I could have. I really wanted to understand how lift, thrust, and all these physics theories work together to actually develop.
mm-hmm,
To actually allow the plane to fly. So I guess that's what motivated me to keep looking into what else to do. I eventually
mm-hmm,
got to University of Newcastle, did my chemical engineering degree. The other thing that gave me another clue about coming to doing an engineering degree was, I guess at the time, I saw the water infrastructure within my country start to deteriorate. And I kept thinking to myself, somebody should do something about that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
At some point, it was like, well, what, that could be you. And
Yeah.
because nobody else in my family had been to university, I didn't have a clue that chemical engineering would help me enter the water industry.
Mm-hmm,
There was
mm-hmm,
only one of the a guest lecturer who came in, shared what they were doing within the water space, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in the degree that will help me do water stuff."
well, yeah, what I've been thinking about, and that's
Yeah.
important. Sometimes we don't really know, but there is a breakthrough because we go through something, and it's just
Mm,
driving whatever we want to do.
that's right. So, um, Uh, yeah, so I get a clue and a hint about what I work in research for a bit. So after university, I worked in research probably for about 5 or so years. It, 3 years while still at university, and then another a few years after that. And then whilst I was doing that, I thought, you know what, I've kind of forgotten some of my beautiful manners because I'm now surrounded by all these
Mm-hmm,
engineers who don't necessarily pride themselves in having great etiquette and they were being elegant. So I thought I would enroll myself in some, etiquette classes, and that was with June Daly Watkins in Sydney. I didn't know that
mm-hmm,
at the time she was kind of like, the guru of etiquette within Australia.
mm-hmm,
But when I got there, she was immediately like, well, actually, it was quite rare that she taught a lesson because obviously she's got people who do the lesson. She pops in to say hi to everybody and kind of comes into the graduation part of etiquette
Mm-hmm.
course. Doesn't necessarily teach them. So she came into our classes and she said hello to everybody and welcomed everyone and said all these nice things about the course and how she's happy for us to be there. And then she turned to me and she said, "Are you a model?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, let's work on that." And during the whole
Mm-hmm.
course, she kept introducing me to photographers and different people because she was really keen. Straight after the course,
Mm-hmm.
she said, "You know what, Renny, I really believe in your ability to be a model. What I would like to do is to sponsor you and I'll give you a scholarship to do my modeling course." And I can't remember exactly, maybe it was $2,000 or something like that to do her modeling course. But I did
Mm-hmm.
it. She introduced me to an agent. And then I was basically working as a researcher, traveling, going to castings and shoots,
Mm-hmm.
exercising, sleeping every so often, doing what
Wow.
yeah, so it was a big challenge, but it was worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my grant at the University of Newcastle finished, and I thought, you know what, it might be a mining boom, but it's a good opportunity for me to kind of see how modeling can go. So I'm going to take a year off
Mm-hmm.
and go and do modeling. So I took a year off. It ended up being 5, and of course, it was a challenge coming back to engineering after that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but when I came back to engineering in 2017, I went straight into the water sector, starting as an
Mm-hmm.
intern and then just working myself up from there. Then moved
Mm-hmm.
to Sydney, joined a consultancy firm from having a government job
Mm-hmm.
role before, and now within consulting, I'm embedded in Sydney Water, where you know I,
Mm-hmm.
I've already by this point, water had just been so confirmed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
haven't worked a day in my life since I started working in water. Like I liked doing my research, but I adore being in water.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to drag me out of bed to go to work
Mm-hmm.
every day. And so, yeah, so now I'm embedded in Sydney Water and doing energy and carbon zero projects
Mm-hmm.
in a completely different field. Like it's very far off from chemical engineering now. It's more energy, a bit of energy markets,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, emissions abatement and things like that. And that took a lot of courage again. And you'll notice that there's been a lot of shifts in my career, which
Exactly.
to most people, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it makes sense to what I believe is the call on my life.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, so I mean, just to continue on that, I just wanted to
Hmm.
ask you, because like you said, you've done so many things, you've shifted so many, time. So what did you learn through this process? What are the key lessons that you've learned, first from moving from Zimbabwe to Australia as an adult, and then from shifting career, changing career. So what are the key things that you've learned, not only about yourself, but also, as far as, following your purpose and following your dream is concerned?
Hmm. Uh, I think the key thing is, for me, it took me a long time to articulate what my mission statement was for my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But deep down, it was always confirmed. I saw myself. There are many times when I walk into a room and I think, I remember when I was a child and I was sitting under a tree one day and I dreamed of myself wearing a lab coat and,
Mm-hmm.
wearing cute heels and doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Or I
Mm-hmm.
dreamed of myself walking into a high rise and talking to important people about X. So
Mm-hmm.
those, within myself, there was this vision of the person that I needed to be. Even though Zimbabwe didn't look like it was possible, being a woman of color, being a woman, being too green, being all of these things that people tell you, none of it
Mm-hmm.
looked impossible at the time. But keeping the vision very clear. I then
Mm-hmm.
managed outside of just dreaming about, images of my life. I guess the key thing was then I just consolidated into a mission statement. And my mission statement is to lead and inspire, better living by demonstrating what can be accomplished when somebody
Mm-hmm.
like me courageously expands a circle of influence. Then I keep that mission statement in front of me And,
Mhm.
I feel like for me, being a Christian, it's a God given, inspired mission statement. So I make decisions based on it. It is my guiding light, it is my script. I don't pick a
Mhm.
job, I don't pick, my relationships. There's nothing that I do that does not, where I don't fundamentally ask, does
Mhm.
this feed in to what I believe my God given purpose is? And that's that
Mhm.
mission statement. What have I learned? Absolutely takes courage.
Mhm.
There's so many people, like when I changed from energy to, I was doing more treatment type planning. And, some randomly, a friend sent me what's his name? A, an expression of interest for an energy job.
Mhm.
I looked at it and it sounded like I was reading some sort of Greek because I just didn't understand some of the acronyms.
Mhm.
But but the day before that expression of interest was due, I just remember waking up and saying to myself, this is the reason why most women don't put their hat in the ring, because they look at the job, it looks too hard, and they just don't apply. You're not
Mhm.
going to do that. I read it again, and suddenly it started making sense.
Mhm.
Distill the key points and hone in on what your experience is so far. The
Mhm.
gaps in the actual engineering knowledge itself, they will come. And I
Mhm.
felt deep within myself this sense of, if you apply, the rest will take care of itself. The next day
Mhm.
on the Monday, the manager was recruiting for the role, called me. I love your experience. You're exactly what we're looking for. I'll come back to you. By Wednesday, I'd already organized my transition into the team full time.
Mhm.
You know, but if I
Mhm.
hadn't had the courage to apply anyway, then that would have been an issue. And you know what? The bottom line was, it wasn't about just the courage, it's also realizing where the success starts. Success for
Mhm.
me isn't about, I get the job. Success for me is the willingness to go after that dream. And even if it's a no at that moment in time, I was bold enough not to say, I'm not good enough, I'm too black, I'm too women, or all of these other
Mhm.
things, I'm too green. I decided that I am I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make an effort. And if they say no, they've assessed it and they said no. But I gave
Mhm.
it a go. I didn't
Mhm. Mhm.
disqualify myself too early. The other thing is, I've learned to be really comfortable with who I am. I don't
Mhm.
second guess who I am. I don't second guess what I stand for. And I just go for it. I try to be really true to the core of who I am. You know, uh, I used to dim the modelness of me. Like, I
Mhm.
love to look beautiful. And sometimes I'll just, wear really plain clothes when I first started engineering. But I realized, that is not doing anybody any justice at all. I have to be the
Mhm.
type of person who is courageous enough to take on all of me and really enjoy that. So now I don't make any apologies about who I am.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I stick to the core things that I believe in. I don't stand for people who backbite, who do all sorts of things. I speak up for people who,
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, when it's the right things to do. That's important to me. Um, what are the other things that I've learned? I reckon I'll stop there, and you can help me dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to say hello to Brenda. Brenda is here. She's watching. And hello, Brenda. Thanks for being with us. Brenda. Brenda has been one of my guests as well last year. So thank you for tuning in. And as you can see, she is already, inspired, and yes, amazing career and amazing, leadership so far. So we're gonna have a break, and then we'll be back with you, Renny, to talk about, to continue to discover, you and your career, your amazing career, and really get to the next level of inspiration. Because I think we are already inspired, but there's a next level after that. So for those watching, don't go anywhere. We will be back with Renny pretty soon.
My name is Kasia Trepanier. I'm from Hammond, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes outside of New Orleans.
Our end thing is love, community, and never forget about the people that paved the way.
Art is the only medium to help us understand that there is a lot more to life than fight.
Whatever you do in your personal life trickles into your business life. And a lot of times people fail in business because they have not succeeded in life.
I want to be able to be contributing, one of those guys that really are doing significant work to better the lives of people.
Every change is linked to a consciousness raising, and change is conscious. And if you want to change something in your life, start with your breathing. Start to work on your breathing.
Leave something for people to learn from. You know, make a video, write a book, teach. Go around and teach the younger generation or the next generation to help them become or follow the path that you've been.
So we are back. We are back with Renny, and we are talking about a career and a driven purpose career. And if you're just joining us, Renny is based in Australia. She's in New South Wales, and she has been talking about her amazing career, which is full of versatility, full of learning, and full of inspiration as well. So we are back now, and just wanted to ask you, Renny. I mean, you already talk about success. What success is for you? You talk about the willingness to go after your dream. But what are the key steps you think are important, and what are the key steps to take to be able to get that after those dreams that we all have?
The key steps. I guess if I look back at my life, I'd say some of the things that I've said already, obviously the courage, having the clarity on where you want to go, that's really great. It hasn't taken me, it hasn't happened overnight, having that clarity of purpose and what I want to do in that step. So once you have a clarity of purpose, you have the courage, then it's about breaking it down. Okay, so if I want to be a high-powered leader in, when I'm 50 or whatever the age that you want to be, then dial it back. Where do I have to be, or what steps should I be doing right now in order to get closer to that? So for me, it's that mission statement. And every year I'm taking steps towards getting there. And just, so it's breaking it down in tangible steps, and find people who are going to come alongside you to help you clarify that. What are the steps that I need to take? And then I would say it's also finding sponsors, telling people your vision, like a lot of, like the energy job, for instance. That was, I had spoken to my friend and said, I'm not really happy with this. She came up with an idea. This job sounds great for Renny. I didn't think I was ready for it, but she thought it was the right thing for me. So there have been many people in my life who, because I've told exactly where I want to, they've said, Renny, I think you'd be perfect for this board role. I think you'd be perfect for, doing this. And sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Like recently somebody gave me, after I'd shared my, my desires and stuff, somebody said, hey, you should apply for the CEO role. And I'm like, wow. Thank you for the heads up. I applied anyway, but this time I can't say that I'm going to be CEO because somebody else got the position. I just realized that there are so many people who are willing to listen and who are actually willing to knock down the doors for you or to open the doors and to allow you in. So that's one thing. Mentors as well. Watch people with key elements in their lives that you like, and try and get them to help you grow that area of your life. Mentors are not, don't look for mentors. Don't look for somebody who's holistic in everything, because isn't the person who you're not there's no exact replica of you. So what you'll find is mentors are really good at one thing. Just focus on that one thing. Don't expect them to teach you everything. Just find a mentor who teaches you the next step that you need in order to be groomed for the role that you want, or for the dream that you have in the future. I would also say not being tempted by the bright and shining lights, and that, I guess, it links back to that purpose. It doesn't really matter to me what is popular, what is most talked about. To me, it is always a focus on the goal. And then the other thing is that lines up quite nicely with that is competition. I have never, people get shocked by this, but the truth of the matter is I do not ever wake up thinking of anybody else. I don't think about you on any one day wondering what you're doing. I don't actually, because what I want to achieve is just so important to me. I am just so focused on waking up in the morning and doing Renny. And that is a lot in itself, Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not a mean person. I don't walk over people on the street who need help and all these things. I don't forget my mentees, and I don't forget to be a sponsor for others. But the point is, I am not comparing myself with the next person beside me or what they're doing. I just, the grand scheme of it, I don't have time to compare myself to anybody else. Being ready is such a full-time job. And yes, I just want to encourage everybody not to be distracted by what everybody else is doing. You see lots of posts on social media, different things. They've got a promotion here, they've got this job. It could very easily get distracted, but that is noise. Find space to silence the noise, get really clear on what your purpose is, and go after your purpose, regardless of who's getting promoted all aside you. In the grand scheme of things, like, I was the last person at high school to get into uni. I had a gap year, and I thought, before I found out about Australia, I'd applied to British universities and all these other universities in the US, and I just wasn't getting in. My dad finds a newspaper article about somebody who's arrived talking about Australian universities. I go to the dean. He says, "You're awesome for us, and you can start with doing this course." And within 2 weeks, I was already in Australia. It was so easy to be distracted by how everybody had already gone to uni and was already doing university and was already on their way. And the same thing happened to me when I left the engineering field to go into modeling. It was already, it was challenging to come back and to explain to people why somebody leaves engineering in a mining boom and goes and travels all over the world and does, and just to be pretty. Like, it doesn't make sense to most people. But I had to remember to keep the vision clear. And when people told me the only way to come back from this is maybe choose to be to bake cakes, as I was at that time really enjoying baking, or somebody else told me maybe all you need to do is to become an Uber driver. Somebody else, well, it's you in fashion, so maybe you should go and do work in retail. Those are all great careers, but I was born to be an engineer, and my vision to change something in the water industry, and I had to go back. What is the mission? What is the vision? Silence the noise and just believe, because otherwise I just wouldn't be here today, because I would have settled for another role that is not for me. I'm not saying any of those roles are bad, but it's just not Renny. And I just need to be able to continue to silence the noise, focus on the purpose, and go after what I know is right for me. And if you do that, you'll be great. I heard an interesting. I've got one more thing. It's people have. I don't know if you've heard the term FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I heard a twist on that, or read a twist on that with this JOMO, the joy of missing out. And it isn't that I don't want to be involved in things and I don't love catching up with my friends and doing things. But for me, the joy of missing out is the joy of saying no to the things that don't feed into my purpose. I can't afford to waste time on anything that does not, you know, get me closer to that mission statement or to embodying the fullness of who Rennie's meant to be. Yeah, I hope that's kind of.
No, that's just amazing, and I think we still have Brenda here. She's just wow, all those those gems shared. It's just amazing, and she's particularly stated, don't compare and compete. Focus on being yourself. And again, so she is just on fire today, and but I like what you're saying. I like what you're saying, because especially in this time of digital disturbance, there's noise all the time, people on social media, you can be easily distracted from your from your goals, from your purpose. And it is important, like you said, to know who you are, to believe in yourself. And I think you shared before the experience of an experience of a woman in the male dominated environment, where you had this opportunity was offered to you. You didn't know anything about the particular industry that you were going to move to, but you gave it a try. You say, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna learn. And I've seen so many women in because I'm also I've worked most of my life in a male dominated environment as an engineer. So many women disqualifying themselves because they want perfection before they can move forward. And that's been really an obstacle for them to be able to reach the highest level and the decision making table, so that they can really play on their strength, and really show their gift and their greatness in that environment. And they get frustrated, and at the end of the day you end up being stuck in a role where you're not happy. So I think that's key. That was really key to get this from you, because at least we know it works. And that's what our male counterpart do. They just take the job, and they learn on the job. And it's just a matter of opening yourself to growth, opening yourself to learning, opening yourself to really asking, like you said, asking to have mentors, and asking for help, so that they can guide you to be successful in whatever you're trying to accomplish. So really strong, very strong, insight, and based on your own experience. So I just wanted to know, obviously, you've gone through this process, you've accomplished a lot. So what do you think you've missed out? What would you tell your younger self in a way, that you've missed out of something that you would have done differently or better, or, anything that you think about?
Oh, what would I have missed out on? Like, I feel like, a lot of my experiences have shaped who I am. For one thing, what I am trying to do now is to be what I needed when I was at that age. And I started with my siblings, because I remember when I first went to private school, there was a lot of things that I hadn't seen, because I'd started my education in a different school altogether. The whole culture of being at a private school within the context of Zimbabwe was quite different to what I was used to, and being in a boarding school was quite different. So of course I didn't know how to play tennis, I didn't know how to play hockey, I didn't know how to do a lot of things. But I soon tried as best as I can to teach my siblings so they didn't have to go through the same mistakes I did. So would I change any of that? I'm not sure. But what it's definitely taught me is I must make sure that the feelings that I was going through when I was at that age in my life that I helped somebody else navigate them and be stronger. Like I remember being uncertain when I was in my 20s and when I was
Mm-hmm.
12 or 13, even though I had, my relationship with God had grown significantly and, he had rebuilt my self-worth and, given me a greater purpose and given me a stronger sense of love and that I was in this world for a reason. I still was a little bit naive and just like unsure and questioned and second guessed myself. You know, I try to be somebody who goes back to schools and kind of shares that it's okay to be different. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to want something greater. It's okay for you to be, like I ended up being the head girl of my school, which is
Mm-hmm.
equivalent of school captain within Australia. But you know what? The loneliness of making choices that weren't popular in high school,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't fun. I think I remember one of the people in my age group said, I don't want to be friends with my mom. It's like, because for me it made sense. Like I don't need to do naughty things because I just
Mm-hmm.
know that that's silly. Like I don't understand. I don't need to break the rules because I actually like the rules. They make sense and they're going to make me a better person. Like all these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So that loneliness is what made me head girl. But I just wish there had been a real confidence in knowing that
Mm-hmm.
what? That sacrifice, that decision, uh, that's actually what's going to make you head girl. And that's actually what they need to vote you in as well, because it was part
Mm-hmm.
a teacher's voice and also students. Majority of these, students that were, it was a predominantly white private school. So, in a racist culture within my country, they
Mm-hmm.
voted me in because I was somebody who could stand out, be willing to be lonely because I prefer to not to go with the popular decision, but the right
Mm-hmm.
decision. So I guess yeah, it's about I I would like people to know in their stage of life that some of the decisions that they're making that might actually make them one day what they want to become. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
to stay the
Mm-hmm.
course. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be lonely. It's okay to be hated. It's okay not to be included in work functions and all these things. Because in the grand scheme
Mm-hmm.
of things, in my history has shown me that being that person who chooses the right thing to speak out for others, that is actually the right way to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. So yeah, I guess it would be, yeah, just being really comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like it because right now it's all about being liked on social media, having I don't know how many followers, being an influencer or whatever it is, and it actually creates some problems with people. I mean, that's why we see the rise of mental health and things like that, because we start to compare ourselves, we start to looking for this attention, and really forgetting that we are enough, we are okay. If we're not in, like you said, if we're not included, that's perfectly fine. We are okay, we have our own gift and we have our own journey, and we don't have to compare ourselves like you mentioned before. We don't have to be like anybody else. We are unique. So whether we are included in a certain group or not, that's perfectly fine, and we shouldn't beat ourselves to death about it. And I really love that you reiterate this this message, because it is very important right now, especially for for the young generation, to really understand that life is not about likes. Life is not about being loved by everybody. It's about being yourself, understanding who you are, and really stepping into this power that you have, and use the gift that you have to be able to to create positive value, positive impact for for yourself and for your community, because at the end of the day, that's all it's all about. So I'm happy for you to to really push this message today again. And so we're going to have another break, and then we'll come back with you. And there is a particular question that I really love, asking my guest, and I really want to have your your insight on that. But for now, we're gonna have another break, and we will be back with you in few minutes.
Well, thanks, Morelli.
When I left Disney, I met lots of people who are entrepreneurs and just said, "Look, I'm starting. What advice do you have for us?" And I got some great advice. And there was a few things that were key. First of all, and as you saw in the video there, keep it simple. Be simple about what problems you solve.
When people think about retirement, Murray, they think about somebody in their 60s and 70s and 80s. When you say retirement, and so when I talk to young people, they almost like disconnect from, well, I'm not ready to retire. And I'm thinking, well, what age? Let's change that word retirement. What age do you want to stop working actively for your income and have your income work for you?
What are you hoping for? That means that there's a future. That means that there's something that you yet still need to be realized and materialized in your life. And if you have lost hope and you're not hoping for something, that means you're lost. So we need to get you back to the place of being able to hope again.
The great Dr. Willie Jolly once said, a setback is just a setup for a comeback. We've had a lot of setbacks over these last many months, and it may have gotten you to the point where you don't think a comeback is ever possible. But I'm here to tell you, it's never too late.
Trust the process. So many times we get stuck and paralyzed from taking the first step and taking action to get out of that transactional to the transformational of our own lives because we're afraid. But trust the process. Take that one little microscopic step. And I tell you that once you do that, that will increase into another step and another step and another step. So that's what I'd like to leave with you today.
You are an original. You don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. I've had so many people try to mimic or duplicate what I'm doing, and I don't have a problem with that. And I'll tell you why. Because if God didn't give them the exact same vision, it may work, but it won't work like the vision he gave me. So it's really not competition, it's something else. So don't let fear or competition stop you from going forward.
My message for today is delay is not denial. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Do not stop until you get what it is God has for you.
Look on it, plan it, see it, anticipate it. Plan what it is that you want to do. Plan where you want to go. See it in your mind, visualize it, and then anticipate it. Know that it's going to happen.
So we are back. We are back with Renny, and so we've come to the point where that's really my my time where I really want to know, Renny, because you've accomplished so much, and your journey is so inspiring, and it's not the end of the road, obviously. So I just want to know, what is the legacy that you want to leave? What is the legacy that you are working toward? If you can share it with us.
What is the legacy I want to leave? There's a number of things. I guess I'll break it down, like in terms of my family, for instance. I'll start there. I really want to make sure that on any one day I have the wisdom to prioritize my family and to be there when I'm needed to be there. Doesn't mean I stop everything. Doesn't mean I'm not doing my work, but it's just knowing the right times to be available for my family in any moment of their life. And that's my family here in Zimbabwe, here in Australia, and my family in Zimbabwe. I want to be the kind of aunt who's still recognizable, who my nieces and nephew who are still little, Auntie Rennie's on the call, because they know me, Yeah, I want to be available, and I want to make sure I am imparting, not just to everybody else, but to my family, because I really believe, charity does begin at home. In terms of my career, I've often said to people that I want to be the type of person who leads without saying a word. And that when you look at my life, you can't differentiate where working starts and where home life starts, because in essence, Renny is the same. All of the things that matter to her at home, at work, she's not faking it. She's not pretending. She's just this leader. And if you just watch her life, that's all you need to have direction and purpose, And if I have many people who are watching my life, that would be an incredible legacy. The other thing that I've also, in 2021, I almost passed away.
Wow.
If there was anything that a near-death experience teaches you, is time is short. So I want to really have put in effort with the things that matter and the people that matter in my life, and not have wasted time. When people look back at the legacy that Renny, she was somebody who, knew her mission, knew her purpose, and invested her life in worthy pursuits that helped shape that purpose, that mission, and that vision. Yeah. I want to lead. I want to make sure I teach those who have led me the wrong way how it's meant to be done. And I'm in the process, and I'm doing everything I can to be that person every day. And it isn't just, it isn't at a micro level. It isn't just on an everyday thing, but, one day I can see that there is high impact leadership in my future. And I want the world to be able to see and say, wow, that's how we should have done. I wish,
Wow,
Yeah.
so powerful, so powerful. And I know that, this will resonate with the audience, for the rest of, I think, for the rest of their life, because those are really important key things that you're sharing with us. And sometimes we take those things for granted. You talk about, the time, spending time with our families, and really, get to value, our own family, and start at home, and then expand it to our community. And also, focusing on your own leadership to be the leader that you are looking for, if I can express myself that way, instead of looking for one leader outside yourself. You are a leader yourself, and just, take this role and step into your leadership role to become, the leader that you're looking for. So very, very powerful. So what I want to know, Renny, how do people connect with you? And if there is any event or anything that you need the audience to know so far that is happening, on your side.
I like using LinkedIn a lot. So for those of you who follow me on LinkedIn, that is really where I share my heart and soul about what I'm doing and where I'm going. So if you can connect with me, challenge me on different things, and if there's sponsors out there, if there's any talking opportunities that you see for me, please let me into your world.
Fantastic. And I'll definitely, share this share this episode. So because, here in Australia, it's broadcast in the morning and evening in the US, and my audience in Europe and in Africa is sleeping. So I'm gonna broadcast this episode again. So if you get a chance to watch this episode, please, participate. Let us know if you want to connect with Renny, and really know more about her, and collaborate with her, or sponsor her, or get her into your platform to share her inspiring journey with you. So before we leave the platform, Renny, any last message that you want the audience to leave with?
I guess don't forget to play your own game. I remember a few years ago I watched a movie. It was about somebody who was going to play what is it called? What's the game? What's the golf? He was learning how
Golf,
to
yeah.
play golf. Yeah, and he was just and he said something really just play your own game because of all the distractions that are around. If I can leave everybody with one thing, with a statement, if you play your game and you play it well, undistracted, you'll be just fine.
Wow, what a powerful statement. And we leaving the platform on I. Don't forget to play your own game, and if you play it well, it's gonna be all right. Don't worry about, the noise. Don't worry about anything that is happening around you. Just focus on yourself. And that's been your message as well. Focusing on yourself, silence the noise and focus on the purpose that you have, because that's what's going to lead you to your success, and that's very important. Thank you so much, Renny, for being with us and for all the inspiration and, just, going through, your journey and also, the wisdom that you have and that you brought today onto this platform is just amazing. So thank you very much. And I value, also the time that you spend with us. Thanks for making yourself available. I know how busy you can be. So thank you for being with us. And thank you again for gracing the platform of Greatness Engineering Hour show. And for my audience, I will be back for another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show in 2 weeks' time. And we will be going to the US. And after that, I think it's going to be, the end of the year, and we're going to have a well-deserved break and to be back later on, earlier in 2024. I can't even imagine. We're already almost in 2024. It went so fast. So yes, it has been an amazing journey. And again, Renny, thank you for being with us today. And I hope you've enjoyed your experience here. So take care. For those who want,
thank you.
You are welcome. And for those who want to connect with Renny, please, go on LinkedIn and you can connect with her. You can reference the show if that's where you connected with, you got, some information about Renny. And please, do, because there's much more that she can share. In 1 hour, it's impossible for her to go through all the wisdom and all the experience that she's had. So get to connect with her and enjoy the journey with her. So that's all for today. You all have a great weekend and you enjoy the rest of your day, Renny. Take care, and we will stay connected, obviously. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.